Hey everyone, I hope you are safe and doing good. So in the series of learning Python programming language, in the previous video we have seen one project that was a coffee machine project. I hope you got that thing and you have done that, right? Now from this video onwards, we are going to start a very important concept in Python, that is object-oriented programming, right? So we'll be discussing everything about object-oriented programming, all the concepts and all in further videos. But this video is about what? This video is basically about why we need object-oriented programming. Till now also we have done few projects and we have written many programs without the need of object-oriented programming. Yes? Then why now? Why we need OOP? Right? Until now we were following which approach? Right? So basically in this video I'll try to answer this question. Why do you need object-oriented programming? And then further we'll discuss what is an object and then what is object-oriented programming, right? And later videos we'll be discussing all the concept, classes, objects and inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, everything about OOP, right? Okay, now let's try to find out the answer of this question. Why basically we need OOP? First, see, in the previous video we have done this project, the coffee machine project. So this was our project. The menu, resources, profit is a variable that is global, resources also dictionary having information that is global, and we have defined many functions, right? And these functions are calling, like here we are calling these functions and these are returning something and they are interlinked, right? See, in this function we are in make coffee, in this function we are updating the resource item. Resource item means these item because these are global, right? And in this function also we are accessing the resources because we are just comparing here, we are not updating anything. And in this, like we are updating this profit, this global variable profit, we are updating this, right? So these functions are interlinked with each other, having many relationship, right? Okay, now this approach is what here we are following the procedural oriented programming. This approach, POP approach, right? Procedure means these functions are known as procedure. Procedure basically means the steps, how we are going to perform some task, right? And how we are going to perform this function, the check resources. These are obviously the statements or the task we are writing, the steps we are writing. So these are what procedures, or we can say functions. So this is what POP approach, right? Now, yeah, that is fine. We are following POP approach. So why now we need OOP approach? Because this is also fine, right? But in POP approach, we can handle only small project. Because see, it is just a simple one, coffee machine project. And here see, we are having multiple functions. And the main important thing is, these functions are updating global variables. The profit is global variable, resources, this dictionary is also global, obviously. So in many functions, more than one function we are accessing this resource and one function is updating this resources, and in one function we are updating this profit, right? So we are updating the global variable or the data. So suppose we are dealing with a large project, a large scale project. There we are having multiple functions, 50 functions or 100 functions and many global variables, right? So it would be very difficult for you guys to track like which function is accessing which global variable, which function is, you know, updating which global variable. And accidentally if we update a global variable, global data in any function, then maybe it will give us some error or some unusual, result, right? Some unexpected output, right? So main thing is, I think now you have noticed, main thing we are focusing in this approach, POP approach, on functions. How to do the task, the functions, the procedures, not on data. Data here is freely moving during the whole program, because obviously the global data is moving freely. Any function can access this data, any function can update this data, right? It means there is no data security. Data is freely moving. We are just focusing on the procedures or the function, or means you can say how to do the task. On this we are focusing more. So one drawback of this is what? Data security. I hope you got. why I am saying that there is no data security in POP approach. I hope you got this thing now, right, with the help of this example. So now if you want to handle any real world problem, any large project, right, then definitely it would be not easy to manage that project, to implement that project with the help of this POP approach, right, because of the complexity and the relationship between those functions and all. How to manage the relationship, how to check which function is, how to track which function is using which global data and which function is updating which data and all, right, because we are not focusing on data more. And if maybe you think like we can do, we will take like no global data is there, we just change this type of this global data, just take local data. So all the functions which are accessing that global data, you have to do accordingly the changes in those functions as well. You have to resolve those functions as well, right, because maybe many functions are using that global data, right. So because of the complexity and the number of relationships are very complex here, it would be very difficult to manage that thing with the help of this POP approach, right. And obviously the data security is not there. And yeah, obviously if you are implementing any real world project, then we know the data is, how much the data is important. Like maybe I want, like anybody can access my name, Jayanti, but only few person can access my mobile number, not all the person. Obviously I want my data safe. So if you want to implement, if you want to model any real world problem, real world project, then definitely you have to focus on data security. And data security is not in POP. You cannot implement data security, you cannot achieve data security in POP approach. That is why we need another approach, and that is in OOP. Yes, we are having data security, and why, that I'll tell you how you can implement data security in object-oriented programming. And there are other drawbacks also in this approach, POP approach, like there is no inheritance, no virtual function, no operator overloading, no polymorphism, no data hiding. Many other things are there. But now I know you don't know about what is inheritance, what is data hiding, what is virtual function, what is polymorphism. So that is why it will not be, it would not be easy for you to understand these things, right? But I'm sure data security is one thing, one drawback that you got exactly what is data security and why I'm saying this, right? Same thing in later videos we will discuss what is inheritance, what is like you can say that virtual function, and all we will be discussing polymorphism, data abstraction, data hiding. Then you will get why I'm saying right now like POP is not having these things, right? It's okay if you're not getting anything of these terms, it's okay, it's normal, right? Because it's first lecture of OOP, and definitely it would not be easy for you to understand everything in one video, right? But till now I hope the data security you got, right? Now object-oriented programming is used to model now the real world projects, right? Now first thing we will see like what is object. We know Python is object-oriented programming, and I think you have heard this line also, everything is considered as an object in Python, right? Why I am saying this? Let's see with the help of this example. See, if I take a variable like a is equal to 1, and if you print the type of this variable a, then what you will get? Just focus on the answer. See, class int, class, because here we are having a class that is predefined in the library of Python. Class is int, and this a is what? It's just an object of this class int. If I'll not take this a, if I like want to find out the type of this string hello, now let's run this. See, class str. Now this hello is an object of class str. So this is built-in class in Python. That is why I am saying everything you deal, now this hello is what? An object, this a is also an object. Everything you deal is in Python is what? An object. Let's take, if I have a function display, and there I am just using the pass statement, nothing I am going to write, and then I want to find out this type of this display function. This you need to write down, name of this function display. Let's run this and see, class function. So there is a class, inbuilt class function, and this function is just an object of this class. That is why I was saying, like, everything in Python, whether it's variable, function, or any string or not, everything is considered as object. Now you got why we are saying, like, what is an object and why we are saying this. So you got this idea. Inbuilt classes we are having in Python, many inbuilt classes, right? And the object you can use. Fine. And see, there is a class str. See, you know, this hello is what? Just, it's a string if you want to find out type, so the class would be string. So if I use something like hello dot, so the class str, that is having many functions, lower, title, index, and many functions. See, right? So these functions you can use on this object, because this object is of str class type, right? So if I use this function only, lower, and if I run this, see, this is already in lower, so it would be, let's suppose, I'll do this in capital letter, and see, it will print in small letter, capital letter, but dot lower means small letter. So there are many inbuilt function also that you can call on that object with the help of dot operator, right? Whatever the object, dot, whatever the function is there of that class. So many classes, and those classes are having inbuilt functions, those you can use on those objects, right? So I guess you have some idea now, objects and all, right? Now, oriented means, in simple English language, if we say, then like it's interested in a particular thing or a particular person. So we are basically interested in object. That is why it is known as object oriented programming. So our interested or main focus is on objects, right? That is why it is known as OOP. Like, you know, this shop is male oriented or female oriented, means in this shop the product, all the product you will get are of males, not females, male oriented, female oriented, like this. So object oriented, we focus on, we are interested in objects. That is why it is known as object oriented programming, right? So I hope the answer of why we need OOP, that is somewhat clear to you guys, because we have done some advantage of OOP, not all, because everything we will be discussing later videos, then you will get all the advantages and benefits of OOP. If you understand to a certain level what is OOP and what are the advantages, then definitely you will get why it is always better to use OOP, and why in the industry, in the companies, they use this OOP approach to implement project, large project, real world project, right? Now let's take a simple example. If a real world problem I'm taking, if I am going to start a YouTube channel, right? So in starting, I am the only one, like one man army. So I can teach some subjects. I am the editor, I am the thumbnail designer, I am the social media marketer, I am the instructor, right? But I want to start many courses, C, C++, Java, computer network, DMS, operating system, data structure, web development course, and many more courses. Then definitely if I am a one man army, then it would be very difficult for me to manage everything, right? So this would become more complex if you want to grow your YouTube channel. Obviously, you got it, right? For one person. Fine. Now, what I can do to solve my problem, I can hire, like, if I am going to start another course, and that is web development. So I can hire one instructor that will teach this course, right? And maybe one editor that will do the editing as well as thumbnail designing. One, I will hire social media marketer, and I would be like manager, right? Now my task is to manage these things. Now this manager, like suppose the manager is me, so I don't need to go in so much detail of how they are going to do their task. I don't need to tell how to teach to the instructor. I don't need to tell how to edit the videos, how to design thumbnail to an editor. I don't need to tell a social media marketer how to do your job, right? I don't need to worry about these things because these are expert in their job. They know how to do their job better than me, I guess, right? So this is going to simplify my task and simplify the relationship. So the same approach or the same concept we can use to simplify our code, to implement larger project, to make our project more scalable, the same approach, right? And see, now one more thing, if I want to like start one more course about Java, so, or before that, let me just tell you something now. Let's take one thing, like I'm taking this instructor. So this instructor is having, and see, as we know, object-oriented programming, OOP, is used to model real-world project, right? So let's create now a virtual YouTube channel. So let's create a virtual instructor, virtual editor, virtual social media marketer, and everything virtually. Let's create, right? Now we need to model these things, instructor, editor, and all in programming, right? We need to model these things in programming, and obviously using OOP approach we model, right? Now this instructor, this is having some information, right? And it will do some task, right? So two things, what he or she has or what he or she does. So it is having obviously some information like name of the instructor, maybe address, phone number, and like some attribute like has books. Then we can say like true, having books, has camera, because to record the lecture we need camera, and like has laptop, that is also true, or maybe something is false. So it is having something, some information, right? And it will do something. What it will do? Teach. So we can say like def teach, we can define a function, and here you can write down some statements. And maybe other function we can do like def, it will also prepare quiz, so that is other thing. So this is what it is having, this is what it will do, right? Now in programming terms, see, these are simply, we know these are variables, if simply I say, because these are variables obviously, and these are functions. But in case of object oriented programming, we call the variables as attributes, and these are known as methods, not functions, methods. And there is some reason, because see, these variables and these functions are not free floating. In POP, the variables we take like global data, that was free floating, move anywhere. These variables, these functions are associated with an entity, that is instructor. So these things are associated with this thing, right? That is why these are known as not simple variables, attributes, not simple functions, methods, right? Because these are associated with something. These are not free floating in your program, right? So in OOP, we try to model real world object. So, and these objects are having something, some information, these objects do something. So what they have, that thing is modeled with the help of attributes, and what they do, that thing is modeled with the help of methods, right? So simply we can say an object is just a way of combining some piece of data and some functionality into a same thing, like into a box. This is same thing. In a box only we are having this and this as well, right? Now if I want to start another course like Java, so I can hire one more instructor. If I want to start another course, I can hire one more instructor. That is fine, right? So instructor, suppose I have hired like Gia, one more instructor Payal, maybe one more instructor. So now see, now these actual thing, these actual person, Gia, Payal, these are known as objects. In object-oriented programming, these are objects, right? And this instructor, this is simply a blueprint or a design. This is known as class. So class is simply a blueprint just to create objects. So these actual things, these are objects, right? Like if you are going to build a house, then the map or the sketch of that house is what? A blueprint, a design you have, and using that design you can build a house. So that house is object and that sketch or that map is what? A class. And see, using that single map we can construct, we can design multiple houses, right? So we have only one class, we have only one design, we have only one blueprint. Using that we can build many, we can create, we can generate many objects, right? So I hope you got the basic idea or an overview what is a class, what is an object, right? And why basically we need object oriented programming, right? So now the overview of object oriented programming, like basically why we need this, right? And what is object oriented programming, what is simply an overview of class and object, and this thing is clear to you guys, right? Now in the next video we will see in more detail what is a class, what is an object, how to create a class, how to create an object, the syntax and everything, right, with the help of program, right? So now we'll see in the next video. Till then, bye bye, take care.